Hey, everybody.
Uh, Hi everybody. I was like, what the hell is it? I found a soldering tip on my desk for some odd reason. Anyway, I haven't soldered in like a year. I'm like, what the hell is that doing?
You look
Anyway,
distracted.
yeah, right. So, how is your evening, Monica?
It is good. It is good. It's Friday night, so it can't be all bad.
Right. Hi, Mickey G.
Nikki. Hey, Nikki.
Yeah. It might storm. It says it's going to. I don't know. So if I lose internet connection, that's why. Y'all will
Okay.
be
Well, if
aware.
you lose internet connection, we're done for the night.
Pretty much, yeah. So if it just shuts down, y'all know.
All right. Two Shadows is in the house, too. Hey.
What up, two shadows? So my grandmother passed away last night or
Oh,
yesterday
I'm
morning. I mean,
sorry.
yeah, it was. She was 89. She was ready to roll.
She lived a long
Um,
life. I got you.
yeah. She did. She did.
It's
She
still
did.
sad, though. It's still sad.
Yeah. So tomorrow I got to go suit shopping and such and
How fun.
do all that good stuff. Yeah. But other than that, it's been pretty uneventful. Um, but yeah, it was one of those things where it had been coming down the pipeline for a while, and I'm just glad, you know, nobody's hurting anymore because whenever, especially elder people, when they go through that, like you can stick me with 100 needles. That's one thing. But if I'm, in my 80s, you better you're not sticking me with 100 needles. It ain't happening. Like you just don't. You know, it's your pain
Yeah, I'm not
tolerance ain't there.
a
You know,
fan of it at all. I had
yeah,
a phlebotomist at one of my doctors because each of my like I've got my OB-GYN, like my lady doctor, and then I've got my regular GP, right? They both have their own phlebotomist in house that draws blood. And my lady doctor's phlebotomist, I don't know if she retired or if she moved on to greener pastures, but they've got this chick this girl is straight out of school, like my kids are older than her.
right.
And she tried to draw out of my arm and she missed my vein, and then she started moving the needle around, and
Mm-hmm.
then um, she was going to try to stick me in the same arm a second time, and I was like, no, I want you to do a butterfly on my hand because my veins are very clear in my hand and you can, like, no problem getting them. She pushed through the vein in my hand,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I
Blew it
was like,
out.
I'm not a pincushion. Figure it out. She goes, well, I'm having a
Yeah.
hard time drawing blood out of you. And I was like, I bet you are because you're not in the veins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, make do with what you got because we are done here.
We're done here. No, when I was in there, man, I think the most I got hit, and within like before they found the vein on one arm was, I want to say like 14 or 15 like
Damn.
jabs at. They had to pull in like that sonar machine or whatever so they could see your vein and do all that. And they still had a hard time doing it. They couldn't do
I
it.
mean, if I'm in the hospital, right, you get one shot at each arm in each like hand because you can put an
Right.
IV here. I mean, usually I don't really have any issues with the IVs going in, but the blood draws, like you get one shot on each of my limbs, right? Or
Yeah.
two shots, I guess, in the bend and then in the hand.
Right.
And if you can't do it, guess what's not happening? You're going to have to knock it off because I'm not a pincushion.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to where I was like, just put a port in me, like just
Oh, yeah, if I'm drawing
oh
that.
yeah, open a hole in me and just squirt it in. I don't care. Okay.
Give me a laceration.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I mean, other than
Well,
that,
I'm very sorry about your grandmother, Joe.
Yeah, no, it's
She
all
was older. That still sucks, dude.
right. Yeah. Well, it's one of those ones where she was like the glue to the family, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
I know.
it's going to be interesting to see where the family goes, like who's going to keep the Thanksgiving together, who's going to,
Right.
that'd be interesting.
It's interesting. My grandmother was that for our family, and I was always curious, like, what was going to happen because
Yeah.
my father, was just as antisocial as I am, and he wasn't putting anything together for like cousins or uncles or aunts or anything. So, I mean, everybody did kind of drift apart a little bit. I mean, we still talk. I go visit my cousins when I can up in Oregon, but I would talk to my uncle when he was alive. He passed away last year. I would talk to him, online occasionally, but it wasn't anything like when I was growing up.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, today was setting weird in my. It kind of goes along with tonight's theme, I guess. Today was kind of sitting weird in my the back of my mind for like the last month, or actually it was the fourth for some reason. I had it transfixed that the fourth was on a Thursday, and so I was like, after this all went down, I'm like, was that some kind of universe speaking language kind of a thing or whatever? So basically, what we're going to get into is um, the psychology of what happens to people like us that are looking for paranormal or cryptids or anything that's Abby normal.
Happy normal.
Have someone named Abby.
Somebody. Happy somebody.
Yeah. So so it got me to thinking about that, and because it's funny, like you can watch what's the like the pareidolia thing or whatever, right?
Right.
I'm saying that right. Yeah, it's
Pareidolia.
like yeah, you can sit there and train your brain almost to where you're seeing it everywhere, and you see it in like the popcorn in the ceiling, or you'll
Oh yeah,
see
you
it
see it in
at
everything. Yeah, anything.
yeah. So then you go to tell somebody, hey, can't you see right there? Two eyes, and a nose, and some people might see it, some people might not, you know. Um, Also with the EVPs, right?
Right.
Because if they didn't have a subtitle down there, sometimes I wouldn't understand what the EVP is trying to say.
No, I
You
got you.
know,
Yeah. Some of them I have a hard time deciphering, and I think it's objective to who's listening to it a lot of the time. Like the subtitle is what they think they're hearing.
right?
Mhm.
And I think that we can coax ourselves into or allow ourselves to be more conditioned into it as we go.
Right.
Like the harder you look for it, which turns and sometimes makes us, seem incredible because we're looking for the incredible when it's not there. Yeah, that's pretty good.
There, I just logged into my YouTube account so I can talk to people in chat.
Yeah, we were discussing that backstage. For some reason, this new software didn't let the guest operate any operations.
That's okay. You can run the show.
You guys choreographed that taking a drink and a dragon. I wish we could say we did. It happened natural.
Choreograph that taking a drink and a dragon. No, I'm a thirsty girl. Me and my sparkling lemonade.
Yum.
I like it. I'm addicted to carbonation. I don't care if I'm drinking Coke or sparkling water. It's the carbonation that I need.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, what I figured out my new favorite thing is half Sprite and the entire line of Arizona or Brisk teas. Like you
Okay.
take a half a watermelon iced
Mm-hmm.
tea and half Sprite, pour it in there. Oh,
It's like a soda, yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Heck yeah.
You got endless combinations.
See, I do that with mixers, like with sweet and sour or Collins mix. You take
Okay.
a good Collins mix and put like Coke or not Coke, but Seven Up or Sprite in it. It's like a Virgin Collins. It's a Virgin
Dig it.
margarita. Yeah.
That's what I'm learning nowadays. You know, got my
I used to
virgin
do that when
beer.
I was a kid. That's why when I do drink, which is it's really not that often, but when I do go out for a drink, um, I will normally get a Tom Collins, which is like a vodka Collins, but with gin. But I always tell them like heavy on the sweet and sour. Like I don't care so much about the alcohol. I like that sweet and sour taste. And it's because when I was a kid, I used to take the mixers and pour like 3/4 of the cup mixer and then like put enough 7 Up or whatever in it to give it a little bit of fizz.
Dig it. I was the opposite.
I like it as an adult, so I don't care as much about the alcohol. I like that really tart taste.
Yeah, yeah, I dig it. Well, and then I came to the conclusion that since I'm a crypto believer, I'm gonna have to start calling this not beer. Right, how's that?
It's
Pretty
not a beer.
good.
Yeah,
Not
okay. I
beer.
got you.
Not
Not
beer.
beer. Yeah.
Not beer.
I see what you did there.
I
I
see.
see what you did there.
There's so much room for activities. Yeah.
You got to get out to do them, my friend.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, back to we drift so easily. So what's one of the? I guess I'll just pick your brain at it. What's one of the ones that you think that paranormal seekers or cryptid seekers or anything? What's the number one? As soon as you bring it up to a normie,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that they're instantly like quick to disperse it and just and go nope instantly, and I mean like the Bible and be like it says unicorn 13 times, and I'm talking uh like whether it was like spirit boxes or um
Like the device itself,
EVPs.
or what is their explain? What is their explanation where they are with it? Like with Spirit Box, they'll be like, "That's just interference. That's just or not necessarily the Spirit Box, but the one that runs through all the. Is it the Spirit Box that runs through all the channels? That runs
Yeah,
through all
yeah,
the radio
yeah.
stations for like a half a second?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It auto tunes.
yeah. It's oh, it's this or that. Are you talking about the device itself that they dismiss, or the phenomenon
Well,
attached
just
to it?
the subject that you would refrain from the most in the beginning of a conversation.
Well, I refrain from talking about it with any normal person if I can help it, because my bullshit tolerance is at an all-time low, and I'm not trying to convince you of shit. I'm just
Right.
telling you what I've either
Yeah.
experienced or what, I've heard or what I'm interested in. I don't give two fig leaves what
Yeah.
your take on it is, because trust me, I've overanalyzed it. I'm not a moron who just blindly believing everything that's handed to me. Like, I have the capability of critical thought,
Yeah.
and I exercise that as much as I can when I'm presented with things. I don't just automatically assume it's whatever. So the topic in itself, no matter what it is, I try to avoid. I mean, I'll feel people out and see like what their take on it is, and if they're kind of open to it, then I'll start a dialogue. But I don't just blindly go in like, do you believe in Bigfoot? Have you had any ghost experiences? I saw an elf or dwarf or whatever the hell that thing was in the woods. I saw one of those ones. I don't do that kind of thing. But I really really, and anybody who's listened to me for any amount of time knows, I try to avoid talking about Bigfoot because I am sick and effing tired about talking about Bigfoot because that's all I talked about for 20 years with people. And I have all these other thoughts in my head that I was unable to express because, believe it or not, folks, the people in the Bigfoot groups don't want to hear talk about other shit. They think that's crazy, but the monkey in the woods is normal. So I spent 20 years keeping my mouth shut. And, it's open night at the trap house now. I'm talking about everything. So, Bigfoot is what I avoid. And, when I do bring it up with people or people find out for whatever, I have friends that think that it's cute to tell everyone, oh, Monica, Monica looks for Bigfoot. Shut your crap. Dude, if I want to talk to people about it, I'll freaking introduce it to the conversation.
Right.
But, their thing is usually like, oh, we've never found any bones or, I think, anybody who's been into it for a long time knows like all of the dismissive phrases. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that comes with the territory too. We are better at defending ourselves than going on the offensive on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, dude, okay, cool. You don't believe in it? I don't care. But then I'm painted as some like nutty screwball who doesn't, know their ass from a hole in the ground because she's looked for Bigfoot in the past and she's believes in all the paranormal stuff. Like, what? Like, all right, my guy, do you believe in the Bible? Because I will pick it apart.
And don't mess with Monica because she does throw snakes.
I do throw snakes on people. I carry a baseball bat in my car. It's probably more of a shillelagh now, less of a
shillelagh.
It is a shillelagh.
Yeah, I was watching Bigfoot Stacy. I don't know if you check his channel out. He's a Texas dude. And they got pictures of a Bigfoot with dwarfism. And dude,
all right. That's what it is.
My car went too fast, too furious off into I drifted left, and I don't know if I've ever came back from that. It was
a Bigfoot with dwarfism.
Yeah, it was and I don't remember who provided the pictures for him or anything like that or whatever, but
did they look like mushrooms on a stump? Because I've seen that one.
No, but it was I wouldn't say it was thicker than it was tall, but yeah, it would be just like what you think a Bigfoot with dwarfism would look like.
I think somebody with AI was like, what's the most off the wall, like random shit I could put on here?
But I will give it,
with Down syndrome.
I will give it, like kind of like an Ewok, Max. Yeah. Exactly, almost, yeah. But it had Bigfoot Wang in the picture, which is another rare one.
Donnie Cho would be very interested in that photo.
You never really get to see Bigfoot Wang in any of the pictures, so then I went from steering left to steering right. And I'm like, that hand to Wang ratio, seems legit. I mean,
studied dwarfism in humans, so I wouldn't know the ratios. I wouldn't be able to identify the ratio in a Bigfoot.
No, yeah. But yeah, so
that's obscure. I think that, people either create some obscure shit thinking, okay, well, this is so off the wall and I'm going to call it a Bigfoot with dwarfism, right? How do you know it's dwarfism? How do you know it's a Bigfoot? How do you know it's not some completely separate creature? Like, do we have, the chromosome count on the Bigfoot to identify one with the dwarfism?
Well, I'll tell you this much. If I saw it like, out in the pasture, I'd go, that's a dwarf Bigfoot. Straight up. Yeah. There is no other. There is no other way around it.
It's an
Nailed
Ewok.
it. Yeah, you walk like had the little mushroom nose, kind of like was that the little dude in Fellowship of the Rings, the dwarf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that like that dude. Yeah, real solid, but squatty,
Okay.
big squat. Yeah, digging, digging. So yeah, yeah. So then I started thinking of how the trickery can get it into your nugget, right? Whether you know if you believe and you're constantly trying to look for it, because one of the most I guess biggest red flags is if someone's going to look for it and then they find it and they got a story. To me, that's not it as yeah, I pulled over to take, you know, a leak on the side of the road and had an encounter, or I was driving down a dark highway, yada yada. I don't know. To me, it comes off more. Um, it is freaking cold in here. Comes off more
I'm gonna buy you
believable.
a blanket.
Yeah, believable if you weren't searching for it. I'm like looking for the
Well,
bike.
what? Okay, so let's break that down. What about it makes it believable to you? Because it's in the narrative of so many other Bigfoot encounters, or
Well,
because it's something you could see happening to yourself.
I think it's the yeah, because I think it's more the way I'd envision it uh, happening. Because it wouldn't. I don't think. I guess maybe because I don't see myself going to look for it per se, right? But it
It's
would
more,
just seem like it would be one of those things that would run up on you or an event that happens to you, kind of like when you see a ghost or whenever you see a UFO. Like every time I've seen UFOs, they're just there. It's not like
you just happen upon it. Yeah.
yeah, it just happened. Not like I was like, all right, we're gonna yeah, I'll
Yeah. I
scan
mean,
this section of the sky. You scan that section. You know.
it's so interesting. I was talking to Chris Garitano last night about that, about encounters. And I just lost my train of thought. It went right off the rails.
That's supposed to happen to me.
I looked to the left and my son was doing something. That train
Just
went
went
right off
right.
the rails, man. But what were we talking about? We're talking about what you were just talking about, encounters, right? That you
Oh,
just
whether they was spontaneous.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, and I was telling him because we were talking about ghost hunting shows and Bigfoot shows and things like that. And I was like, people gave like finding Bigfoot shit because they never obviously found anything. And I told him like you've either got these shows when they were big. Now a lot of them aren't on TV anymore. It like the market was so saturated, like it became
Yeah.
boring to watch, right? And I said you've either got these people that are painted as hillbilly clowns, and it's so absurd, like the realm of absurdity in one direction, or you've got people that are like finding Bigfoot that when I watch the show, they're doing things that you normally do when you're doing Bigfoot research out in the field. I mean, that's very much what you do, and it is
Right.
very much that 99% of the time it's boring as hell. You're sitting in the woods freezing your ass off, making calls or doing whatever in the blind luck that something is going to stumble across you. I mean, you do research, you try to find locations, you know, you look at areas that have a history of sightings. Like there's ways to like
Right.
narrow the
Right.
search field down, but it's still, no guarantee. And I can't stress it enough. Like 99% of the time, it's boring as shit. And it's cold usually. And nothing happens. Nothing. You might see, I mean, you get to see some cool wildlife. You get to hear some interesting barn owl calls or some coyotes in the distance.
Right.
But it's nothing heart pounding. You might have an armadillo sneak up on your ass, and it sounds like an elephant coming through the brush. But it's boring most of the time, and it's hard to parlay that into a TV show. I mean, I'm shocked, to be honest with you, that they ran for as long as they did because
Yeah.
I'm truly demonstrating like how boring it is, and you have to hype up. I'm sure for TV effect to retain viewers, you have to hype up something you know for a fact is bullshit. It's a freaking owl or a fox or whatever.
Right. It'd be
You
like,
know,
"Oh, what was that?" And then it
ooh,
cuts to the
yeah.
commercial. Yeah.
Cut to a commercial. Did you hear that? I mean, I can't even tell you. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear
Yeah.
that? Did you hear that? Or shh, 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 shh. Did you hear that? Shh. Did you hear that? Shh. Stop talking. Yeah.
Right.
And so at one point to liven it up, did I tell you the gay porn code word that we had out in the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, my friend owned a company, and he had one of his employees came to the meeting, and he got like a bad email, obviously. And they were in the middle of a company meeting, and the guy was going through his emails while they're conducting business, and he clicked a link. He clicked a link, and it locked his computer up. And what it did is it locked the computer, so he couldn't, even closing it wouldn't turn it off, right? And it jacked the volume up to 10, and it started screaming, "I'm watching gay porn." And he had to take the battery out of the back of the computer. This is how long ago it was. He had to take the battery out of the computer to make it stop.
Nice.
So that was our code word for years when we were up in Washington. Instead of "shh" or "did you hear that?" or "listen," it was gay porn. If somebody said gay porn, we all had to stop what we were doing and listen.
Gotcha. Yeah. I guess what you're saying about the shows too, that's like the freaking the Oak Island one. Like, dude, I held on to that thing like, clutched fists, hoping that something would come out. And cool things did, but not the. And same with like the Monster Quest. That's the most frustrating part is when they can't. Obviously, they're not going to get any closer because you would have read it in real time.
Right.
Like if like if Monster Quest went out there and really got,
it'd be all over the news before that episode aired. Yes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's what Chris gets all excited. He loves Oak Island. He's like, they're hinting that they definitely found something. They found something in the shaft. I was like, well, it couldn't have been that monumental because I haven't read about it in the news. Right. It's newsworthy.
Yeah, the reason that one got to me hard because that was when I remember reading about Oak Island in like third grade, like elementary school. And they said that they discovered 2 chests down there or something like that way back then. And to show you how young I was like literally thinking 2 torsos instead of like a pirate's chest, because they found chests in there. I was like, why did what happened to the rest of the bodies? So yeah, so like even all the way up, just having that in the back of my nugget, never going back on the topic or anything. Even when it came down to it, that show came out, I was like, oh yeah, this is that. I remember reading about it. And then I was like, face palm my chest. Oh, so that was like a good 30 years.
All right, like a treasure chest, like a treasure chest. Yeah. I can't say those 2 words together. Treasure chest.
Treasure. My hair is like static.
It sounds like Mike Tyson trying to say it.
I think I'm going to be hit by lightning. Hair's all floating on me.
Well, you said you guys had storms. You better watch out.
Well, I'm in a manufactured home. I'm off the ground. I'm all right. I think I'll be all right. So,
yeah, you're elevated in a metal building
until all you see is a white flashlight, and then it was all on Breezy's last podcast. He was talking about what if, and then kabang! It was in the tiptoed by the tulips. So yeah, that got me thinking. All right, so cursed movies, right? So this is kind of the same drag along.
Right.
So the cursed movie phenomenon, where bad stuff happens to the people that set on the movies, and everyone's got their few that they know of and all that. But
Right.
like the whole ideology of it is, if you break it down, it's kind of heartbreaking because, well, I mean, just to go off of what I was checking out today, I think uh, The Exorcist was proclaimed the first cursed movie by uh, Jim Baker. I want to believe that Reverend, right? From back in the
Really?
80s. Yeah, one of those dudes, one of the televangelist
Of
dudes.
course he did. I don't it's like the satanic panic bullshit.
Right, right. But he convinced everybody that if you actually owned a copy of The Exorcist, that you were owning a part of the curse. So you could buy, you know,
Okay.
you just bought
Well, then
curse.
explain to me why Parker Brothers is mass producing like the devil's play tool with the
Right,
Ouija board.
with the Ouija board. Right, right. So all that aside, and we'll get into a couple of the famous ones, but it's like, okay, I was thinking about it mathematically. And so, right at this point, you'd have to devise up what percentage of movies makes horror movies, right?
Mhm.
Um, what are the percentages of injuries in movies, and then cut that down by the percentage of in horror movies alone. Then there's so many other tie-ins that you have to factor. There are a lot of stunts. Is it just CGI? Like,
Well, you would need to take like like within a 10, let's say a decade, right? The 80s or 90s or whatever, right? You take a
right,
decade of movies, and we'll say 80s because that's when I feel like the bulk of the cursed movies were coming out.
right,
And you take a sample, like a random sample, like 20 horror movies, 20 action movies, because I feel like action movies are going to get the most damage
right,
because of the stunts that are involved. And then you would use a percentage of deaths and injuries and whatnot on set between the two,
right.
but it would have to be a random sample. You can't pick and choose, like randomly pick.
Yeah. Well, see, then that's just the gig too, and that's where the main ones, they can't even surpass that critique right there that you just mentioned, because a
Mhm.
lot of it is, a fire on set, or they even get down to so and so's sister died while making the movie. Like
Yeah,
not
but I
even the
mean, but then
actor.
you have to consider, like, was that a terminally ill sister? Was that like, was it a car accident? Was it a
Right,
serial killer? You know,
right, right.
it gets, progressively worse and more towards, okay, a curse. But
Well,
if
and
you have
then
somebody who's got a chronic illness and they've had it for years leading up to the movie production, and then halfway through the movie production, unfortunately, their body gives out. That's not
well,
good.
I'm saying even to the people that are involved in the movie, it's to their relatives, like his
No,
mom
that's what I
passed, or
mean. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, but I mean, like, where do you stop that? Like, third cousins, is that where you draw the
Oh, yeah.
line? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, and
Well, I
like you
mean,
were
I
saying,
would limit it to immediate family, like mom, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin.
right,
First cousin. Like anything beyond that
yeah,
is like reaching.
yeah, and then you have like haphazards of like just the set itself. I mean, those sets get torn down and put up like carny rides. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
the fact that a light falls, or the lights go out, or you're having trouble with the heater, or for some
Or an
reason the heater
electrician
just,
gets electrocuted because they wired it wrong. No, yeah,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, at what point are you no longer searching, but now you're drawing? Because and one of the things that I was checking out when I was watching it is, one of the most that I would go like, that's definitely cursed, is a comedy called Roar. It was like an Australian comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a bunch of animals, of course. Now we're mixing it in disaster, and like 5 or 6 people got mauled by the lions. Like,
Well, that's poor
that,
training. Yeah.
yeah, an elephant picked up one of the chicks and by his trunk and threw her up against the wall, like, and like just like hardcore, and I was like, damn, that's like 20 people right there just on the movie that,
Yeah, but you
you
have to
know,
increase the probability of
right
disaster when you're working with animals, and
with
you don't know what those trainers were like. You don't know what the conditions the animal, like the stress the animals were under,
right, yeah,
especially back then,
yeah,
because the regulations were. I mean, I'm sure were regulated to a degree, but they're nothing like they are now. Like PETA wasn't up their ass like they are now.
right, right,
So,
exactly. So that expands your
well, it increases
your
your
odds,
probability
yeah,
for like it naturally, not a curse, but a natural
right,
like increase of probability because you've got like shitty trainers and like crappy regulations. Like
yeah,
the guards aren't in place, or the guards that are in place are crappy, like sparse. So
yeah, 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 exactly. Your preventative maintenance, so to speak,
yeah, well, yeah, your
yeah, is
bumpers.
right
Like if
out the
you're
window.
bowling, your bumpers are
Yeah,
you've got bad bumpers. You just ball in the lane.
yeah. And then like, okay, so like someone said earlier, the Poltergeist, that's a well known, everyone goes,
That's a
oh, that
very
was
well known cursed movie. Yes.
cursed movie. And one thing that they get down on is the skeletons in the swimming pool, right?
Yeah, that they
You
some
know,
of them are real. Yeah.
right. But they bought those from, like, I think it was some medical place in Colorado, because this was still back in the day when they really did use
Oh
real
yeah. I mean, it's the
skeletons.
80s. Again, regulations.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, well, they
protocols are
used them.
not what they were.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about it, our grandparents, or not even most of our parents probably, and some of us, grew up in classrooms that had actual skeletons from, like a
Oh,
medical,
sure, yeah.
you know. So,
Well, I
ipso
mean,
facto.
that's normal, but I mean, the skeletons that were floating around in the pool did not look like medical skeletons that you
Well,
see in biology class.
they
Yeah,
were. There was some medical
they
supply
doctored them up
company. Yeah, they
because
doctored.
what came out of that pool looked like somebody that's 2/3 of the way through their cadaver farm
Yeah,
experience,
yeah. No, I admit, yeah, yeah. They did a good job. Rock on Toby Hooper.
Yeah, he's all
Um, yeah. And then, okay, but with the kids thing, like that one was a close one too, because you had Heather O'Rourke. She passed away, which would be like Crohn's disease almost nowadays.
yeah. The
Septic,
sister was
septic.
murdered by her boyfriend.
Yeah, and the sister was, yeah, and she passed away. Yeah, she passed away like right before the season, or before, I mean, the screening right before the premiere.
Hmm.
And Heather, she lasted till during part 3, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah,
3.
but so yeah, so like that kind of condensation of time and um, I guess ill fortune that the movie had, that constitutes to me harder than if one of the actresses were to have died 20 years later, and they go,
Yeah, I
oh,
mean, it has to happen during production,
yeah,
right? Or either during production or immediately following production. Like, well, they're still in post. If they're still in post, I would consider that part of it. Because post can last 6 months if they're slow,
well, yeah,
right?
well, there was one that because they were having this issue, it took them 11 years before they completed the film, and that brought it to my attention. I was like, well, wait, in 11 years, shit, man. I
It's
mean,
abnormally
yeah,
long. Yeah.
You make plans and God laughs. That's just how it works. You can think you're going to go on vacation next week.
I remember a movie, and it's not a cursed movie, but I remember the movie, The River Wild. Took something like 5 years to make, and for
Jesus.
various reasons. And the cast, they had a hard time because the cast started out like 14, like a couple of the cast members were like 14 years old when it happened, and then they're like 19, 20 by the time they're wrapping up like filming.
I don't think
It
I
was
ever saw that. I don't know
I
what
just
that
remember
is.
because I kept reading about it and read like in Variety or whatever it was back in the day. And they're like, "Oh, The River Wild," and I want to say Kevin Bacon was in it, and River Phoenix was in it.
Oh,
I want to say, I could be wrong, but I mean, they were, popular teenagers and popular actors in the cast, but it took forever to get
right.
it through. And I can't, and they were legit. It wasn't a cursed movie. It's just, I mean, it was probably cursed from their perspective
Yeah,
because it
no
took so
kidding.
long to plow through. And I can't remember if it was funding or the studio was giving them shit, but there was something where it might have been 3 years. I mean, but it was a ridiculously long time to get the movie wrapped up.
Right. Yeah, there's a few I know of like that that just took an incredibly extended amount of time where I don't think it would fit, you know.
Hmm.
But that I was going to ask you when we got into this, what was the first movie that you remember somebody actually dying in or an accident happening that was in real life
The first movie where one of the actors died.
or something like that? Yeah,
Um,
somewhere where it lifted the veil between movie and these are real people.
oh my gosh, that person died. Like, I'm watching them on screen for the last time, kind of thing. So
Well, it didn't necessarily have to be just when it was pointed out. Like I remember when like the that girl from the Supremes got hit by the car, and then I was like, oh, she can be hit by a car too. She's a fictional character in my mind, but it shows the scene between reality and yeah.
okay. I'm trying to think, like, because I've obviously seen so many movies. I, I think that the Polter, maybe Poltergeist, the girl in Poltergeist might have been it, or even the Twilight Zone, the movie, the helicopter crash that killed the actor
uh,
and the two kids.
yeah,
Yeah, and those were, I want to say, around the same time ish.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and that's what really made me think, like, oh my gosh, like, because you see these people on screen and you think, oh, they made it into movies. They're special in some way, and they're immortal, or they're you don't think about people
they're
like that,
fictional
especially when you're
characters.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't consider, like, oh, some bad things happen to them, because these are people that have made it, right? They've made it.
right.
They've made it onto the screen. In
Yeah,
real life, like them as a person are special somehow because they made it onto the screen, and you don't think bad things happen to them. And of course, nowadays we know much different than
yeah,
that. But back, when I was young, 10, 11, 12, 14, naive, and it was a different time in the 80s, like what's going on now with Weinstein, and then all the Diddy parties, like all the, like all this shit's coming out that's going on behind the
yeah,
scenes. You'd hear whispers of it, but it wasn't like a big spotlight was shine on it.
right.
You hear
Yeah,
about, the two Coreys growing up were molested. You hear about all the kids that were molested that were actors now, but you didn't, like, nothing was said about any of it, obviously, back in the 80s. But as far as like deaths, I want to say those are the two that stand out that I can think of where I was like, oh my gosh.
mine was no, not Spider. Spartacus. Ben-Hur. Because there's two people that die in the chariot races in Ben-Hur. And then my mom would told me that when I was a kid. And so then every time I watched it, I'd keep an extra eye. Oh, my cigarettes are here.
That was a quick cutaway.
I'd always look for it, right? And sure enough, it's the two most gruesome wrecks you can see in that thing. Like you watch it now and you're like, yeah, that dude didn't make it. maybe for a small amount of time afterwards. But
see, and I thought that like stunt people were so cool. Like when I was in junior high, I remember I had wanted to do FX, like Hollywood FX for a while. Like I would play with stuff to like make myself look different. And I didn't have the use of like prosthetics, and I didn't know how to. And we didn't have the internet at the time. I didn't know how to make stuff like that, at my house. So I used cosmetics as best I could to like alter my appearance because I thought it was really like FX is cool. And then for a while there, I considered doing stunt work because I was like, well, that's a way to be like part of Hollywood. But, I never considered myself like somebody who would be in front of the camera. I always thought, I don't want to produce. I don't really have much of an interest in producing back then. And writing scripts. I was like, I don't write a script.
Yeah.
I want to like be part of something. I want to be a gaff. I don't want to be a PA. So, maybe I could do stunt because I was, fairly athletic kid.
Right. Well, yeah, but then once you go down this list, you start realizing that's most of their ammo right there is the stunt people, or something related to it, like The Crow, for instance, like that was bad stuntman job,
Yeah, like the Crow. The Crow would be another one, but I know The Crow came way later than like Poltergeist and the other ones.
Oh yeah. The two old school ones or actually it was three was Omen, Poltergeist, and Exorcist. And but the Exorcist, like one of the main ones is they're really trying to make the where Reagan slaps her mom and she goes flying across the room. They were trying to make that look as authentic as possible. So when it came time, they yanked on that wire to jerk her back, and it literally jerked her back, and caused like.
Well, that killed. I mean, no, it didn't kill her. That broke her back. The thing that when she was on the bed and it was making her lay down and sit up and lay down and sit up.
Oh, that was No, I'm talking about the mom, but that one too.
When Reagan was doing that, that literally broke her back, and when she's screaming and crying, she's not acting.
Like, because they had to have Eileen Dietz take over playing her for a good chunk of the movie because she's a regular out at the gas station and stuff, and she tells a story and plus Linda Blair couldn't say all those things that she was saying because she was too young. So Eileen Dietz was
I couldn't say that stuff, and I'm an adult. I mean, I can throw a curse word, like standard issue curse words, but the stuff that was coming out of that kid's mouth, I couldn't say.
Yeah, I'll go with you on that one, 100%. Yeah, I won't be watching the remake of The Crow either.
I don't want to see the remake of it.
I'm not having that.
No.
But see, that's to me like that goes back to the curse thing is when do we just call it just bad
luck,
stunt, bad luck, rushed together production, or some of them just has to do with who did it, what was that the little dude that Roman Polanski.
Oh yeah,
because he did Rosemary's Baby and he was also convicted of
and then he's just a friggin' pervert and got caught. in a day where
Right.
most perverts didn't get caught.
Right.
So,
But it's like everything that goes along with him now on each. Now he's got ripples of cursed movies. You know what I mean? Because it's
right,
cursed just by being uh,
affiliated.
affiliated with him. I was going to say enunciated for some reason. But yeah, so it's like, I don't know, man. It kind of disenchanted me just a tiny bit. I don't know, going down that rabbit hole. I was like, yeah, the odds. There's so many variables that you add to them, and then what defines it as a curse? Like, did somebody put this curse on it? Did someone go, I want this particular production, and hex it and curse it, or is it the devil himself?
Yeah,
Doesn't want you to see.
I always took it as like in the instance of like poltergeist, let's say. Like you're toying with things that don't want to be toyed with, right?
Right,
And you could argue that like the skeletons were misused and the spirits of the people that were attached to it came back and did whatever. Or like in the Omen, you can say, well, I mean, that's a pretty dark subject matter, and
yeah,
darkness attracts darkness. So, just poor luck in that regard, and that, an entity came because they're saying like actual demon names,
right,
out
yeah,
loud with no care for saying it.
yeah,
They're recreating the ritual of exorcism, which is a like very very intricate thing. It's not just opening a Bible and reading some passages. There's a lot
right,
that goes into an actual exorcism. And there's I think the subject matter in itself, again, darkness attracts darkness. And in that case, I think that something paid attention and just attached itself. And I think probably the same thing with Poltergeist. I don't think that there's like some pissed off actress that didn't get the starring role and is at home like praying over a pentagram,
right,
a dead crow, and like 12 black candles. There's
yeah,
I don't think it's something like that. I think that the energy attracted an energy, and it just exponentially grew from that.
yeah. I have to agree with that. I mean, because yeah, whenever you okay, like with the cryptids thing, going out and searching for Bigfoot, that's one thing. But whenever you're getting into demonic and whether or not you believe in uh, the same apocryphals as someone else or the same Bible or written knowledge as far as spiritualization goes, it it's still it it draws from the same well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, and to me that's more digestible than, oh, it just happened to be, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, and the budget went 3 times over. It's a cursed movie,
That's not
you
a
know.
curse. That's just a shitty
It's
direction.
a shitty movie,
Yeah,
right?
that
And you just wanted to blame it.
there's a lot of fingers that could be pointed to in that one. If
Yeah,
you're over budget, maybe the studio considers that a curse, but by I would say regular standards, that's not cursed. Cursed is like random shit happening to actors and actresses and production that
right,
like aren't necessarily connected but are equally devastating. You know what I mean? Like like an actress gets murdered by her boyfriend and the set goes up in flames like
right.
3 times, or the blanks in the gun you
Yeah,
know aren't blanks, or there's too much gunpowder in it and the velocity is lethal of whatever's coming out. So it's things like that I would consider a curse. Like just
right.
compounding, not just like 4 or 5 random crappy unfortunate events.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to have a pretty good hand to begin with before you start drawing cards. You know what I mean? like, because Because some of the ones I was seeing, I was just like, no, man, like, oh, they read the script and then they found it hard to sleep for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's a scary ass fucking script. I'm like,
that's good writing. Make that movie.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, that's not,
if
or
the script is hitting you emotionally, make that movie.
Exactly.
Either whether it's fear or, love or, worry or just deep introspect. If it's hitting you on an emotional level, like a deep emotional level, whatever it is, make the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's good writing.
Exactly. Well, we're coming up on our hour. We could probably do another one on this if we wanted to. There's plenty more to go because Life the Omen, we didn't even touch on that one, but it's the same kind of concept. And yeah, on the I forgot to ask myself the same question on the what's one thing I don't like to bring up is the pareidolia, because it's just so freaking easy for your mind is actually it's formatted to recognize
we're wired
people.
to do that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like
you're wired to notice patterns. That's how we stayed alive back in the day.
Right.
And it's part of our lizard brain, I guess. It's just, I can look at wood. I can look at and I do that on construction sites. I'll look at a plank of wood and I'll see like 6 different kinds of faces in it. I'll see Goofy's face. I see a cartoon mouse.
Right.
I can see like a woman with, thin lips and big eyebrows. Like I can make out facial patterns in damn near anything.
Right. Yeah. Same with the voice recognition. Or, unless it's blatantly, obvious. Yeah, I'm not so inclined to go for it. Yeah. But well, that's our hour. I guess we'll wrap things up. I don't think there's anything hindering any shows. So
yeah, I'll try to fix something if you're feeling good about doing shows again, because I was waiting for us to do a few of these shows to see how you feel before I started scheduling my shows again.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right. I just got to figure out how Jen turns off this freaking air conditioner. God. It broke, so her little fingers can fit in there, but mine can't. So I can never. Yeah,
you've got her touching the live wires, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean they're gonna be like, it was a cursed studio. Yeah, but yeah. So anything in the upcoming movies or books going on? Nah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my books going on and that I'm writing, but we can, because I've read, y'all know I read books, so we can talk about my books on my show. I'll figure something out. I'll try to set something up for next Thursday on my channel.
Right.
So everybody, I know most of you in the chat are already subscribed to me, but I will put a show out for next Thursday, and Joe and I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll talk about something.
Yes, we will. We definitely will.
Sounds good.
All right. And on that one, we'll see y'all later, and appreciate y'all all tuning in, searching for the truth, because it's out there somewhere.